No, guys, this is not a typical April Fool's Day joke. The grading wars, the sports card grading wars are heating up, and we're here to talk about it. Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. How are we doing? We are at the end of the week, thank goodness. And I've seen no shortage of like 10 different April Fool's Day sports card videos. The one though that really takes the cake, that wins the grand prize, is Jeff at Sports Card Investor and his team put together a wicked video with a nice little storyboard with a plot twist and everything. It was really good. Honestly, I wish they would do more of those type of funny comedic type videos. I know they probably take a lot of time, effort, high production level, but those are his best videos in my opinion. Just fantastic. So definitely check that out on SCI's site today. If you're new here, guys, hit all the buttons below, the subscribe, the notification bell. If you like what you hear, the like button. And also don't forget to connect with me on Instagram at SportsCardDad. And I'm also on the Twitter machine, the SportsCardDad. Back from the Mint Collective. It was an exciting show to come back from, and there was just so much going on. You know, there was just so much going on in the hobby. A lot of stuff I didn't realize was going on, frankly. And the one thing that stuck out to me, one takeaway, especially seeing what Beckett had going on there, was that the grading wars are heating up. We've got the big four companies that we always refer to: PSA, BGS, SGC, and CSG. And you also have other companies. You know, you've got TGT, AGS, and others, Rare Edition. You've got a bunch of other companies that all have their own kind of niche audiences, I believe. But today we're just going to talk about the big four and all the good things that are going on. I mean, let's just start with the king of the mountain right now, and it's PSA. They are in the lead, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Amazon. You know, Amazon, for most people, they just think of Amazon as this conglomerate that makes $1 zillion and stock prices through the roof and all the rest of it. But Amazon didn't make money for a very long time. And what I mean by that is they were reinvesting and reinvesting and reinvesting. They were making money. They had revenues, but they were not taking it. They were putting it right back into their business. So it was kind of like this calm before the storm thing with Amazon that took a long time to finally kind of come out. You know, it was like, we're just going to keep on building from within. And then when they showed their face, they were a lot to deal with. Frankly, they are the company to deal with in retail. PSA is kind of doing something similar. They're simmering. You know, they're doing a lot of reinvestment, a ton of reinvestment. As a matter of fact, I was watching Go GTS. They were talking about how Amazon just got another $100 million of investment that they brought in, outside investment, to grow. And they're really focused on technology with Genament is going to be coming on to help grade, but also to help authenticate. That's really the big thing that Nat Turner has talked about there at PSA, is just having really, really rock solid authentication, because they're on the hook for it. They've got the guarantee in place to where, hey, if we miss it, then we pay for it. So PSA going through all the motions. They're opening up a New Jersey office. They're going, East Coast. They're opening up another office in Seattle, and I heard Japan as well. They're not slowing down. And so, while their grading fees are, $50 right now, and I saw a lot of things going back and forth on the internet about, PSA is never going to get back down to $10 a card, $12 a card. There's been a lot of differing things going back and forth, where I've seen Nat Turner tweet, we want to get back to $12 a card. And then I've seen, I believe it's Kevin, the president, saying like we want to get to 25, below 25. So there's a lot of differing opinions. There's people that are like, oh, PSA is never going to get below 25. But I think even if they get down to sub $25, whatever that is, even $25, it will be enough. Now, maybe, the registry people will have a special price or something like that. Or maybe, they had talked about events, kind of like what they have now, these PSA grading events where they've got a certain amount of slots. I think that's how they're going to do it. They've talked about that before, kind of like, hey, maybe there's only so many $12 grading slots, and then maybe the timeline to get them back is, 6 months instead of 3 months or whatever. So it will be interesting. And then the timeline, of course, of all this stuff, of how long will it take to get to those points. But man, they have ramped up. They had 44 graders when Nat Turner took over. They now have over 100 graders there. They have about 1,200 employees, with reports that they're looking to hire on another 800 over the next year. Can you imagine that? They're looking to almost double their workforce. That is absolutely tremendous. So they are setting up the infrastructure there to where there are no capacity issues moving forward. They're obviously bullish on their business because the reinvestment has been wild. They've talked about a vault. They're opening up a vault, Collectors, but that ties in PSA. And then, of course, it all works together with Golden Auctions. PSA and Collectors, they're really trying to position themselves. You can just see it. And it feels kind of like that calm before the storm. So you might be thinking like, well, why would anyone use anybody other than PSA? Well, the other three companies are doing a lot of things themselves. We'll go to BGS. When I was at Mint Collective, I didn't even think I would see BGS there, Beckett. They weren't even on my radar. All you've heard over the last, 6 months, 9 months is like, man, we never hear anything from those guys. No big announcements other than they did come out with an announcement a few months ago that was just basically like, hey, we've had our heads down grading and we'll keep on doing that. Nothing crazy coming out of Beckett. Well, they're rebranding, new logo, whole new thing at the Mint Collective. They had a big backdrop, and they are going to have their own vault. There is a Beckett vault, so you send your cards in by mail, you get it graded, slabbed up, and then you can keep it in their vaults, insured. It's protected in their physical vault. And then here's a little wrinkle that, the tired old Beckett that everyone's been talking about for the last, the sleepy old BGS, they are going to have an NFT attached to their graded cards for tracking purposes and trading purposes. What? The company that's supposed to be completely out of this market, that's like, oh man, they're just sliding down. They're going by the wayside. All of a sudden, they're wrapping in technology. They're rebranding. They're not sitting on their laurels. So they're working on some things themselves. And I'm sure we'll hear more out of BGS. Beckett, Dr. Beckett and that Beckett brand is one of the big brands in the hobby. They're long time known brands. I've got Beckett magazines from 1989. It's a rock solid brand. They've just had, look, over the last few years, we've had just insane demand for cards, and some companies have reacted well and really kind of pivoted. Other companies have been slow to pivot, but make no mistake, Beckett and BGS, they are pivoting. They are working at it, and they will be a player. There's no doubt about it. SGC, a company that I give a lot of props to because they did pivot really nicely about 12 months ago. So it was funny, a lot of the companies closed down and SGC was like, bring us your slabs. And then everyone brought their slabs and they were like, we can't take on this much business, and they were struggling, massive backlog. They got it under control. They figured it out. And now SGC is really kind of the reliable go-to for a lot of modern cards. And that was PSA and BGS before they effectively slowed down and shut down effectively, except for their Super Express stuff. But SGC has picked that up. They have picked up a lot of that business, a lot of that volume, and they've just been executing. They have been delivering. So big props to SGC. They've come out as a reliable company. Their CEO, Peter, we've had him on our weekly show, Off-Centered, on Brad the Comeback Card Investor channel. And he's been out front. He's likable. He's out front talking about stuff, talking about different innovations. They also have some different innovations, some things that they're working on that I expect we will hear some things. I'm going to guess over the next 30 days. I'm speculating, but just with the conversations we were having, I know that they've been working on some things with all the other companies making different splashes, different news. SGC, don't sleep on SGC. They're a company that is motivated, aggressive, and they're hungry. And that's what you get that feeling when you talk to Peter and those guys. And SGC has made a name for themselves over the last 12 months. They have picked up market share. And I know there's a lot of speculation of, when PSA gets back up and running, you won't need all these other companies. I disagree. I think there's going to be fan bases of each of these companies. And SGC has done a lot for their fan base over the last 12 months. And now we come to the last company that we want to talk about. It's CSG. And this one is like, fourth place. And you're thinking like, oh man, CSG is going bye-bye. Like, why did they even get into this market? Well, yeah, until they made that huge deal with eBay, who happens to be the largest buying and selling platform for sports cards. eBay is massive, and eBay is making their own moves. They have responded in a big way over the last few weeks with their own vault, authentication. There's all sorts of things going on at eBay to try to keep up. They've seen, I think, these newcomers coming in, and they're like, no, we are going to do everything we can to hold on to our number one spot in the same way that PSA is making moves. And the thing is eBay made a deal with CSG. They didn't make a deal with PSA or SGC or any of these other companies. Beckett, they went with CSG, and that business is huge for CSG. Honestly, like, do they really need the general public to come to them with submissions, at least in the short term, because they're going to be getting so much business coming from eBay, whether it be authentication, whether that be slabs, all the stuff. eBay is going to direct a lot of business to CSG. They have announced a new label, which was something that was kind of holding some people back, and in part and in kind also a new grading system, because people would say, like, I don't like the label and they grade too hard. I can't get a 10. It's impossible for me to get a 10. Well, now you can get a 10. They have changed their grading system around, and now they have a different label. Some people like the new label, some people don't. But regardless, they are making changes. They are adapting to what they're hearing. They're adapting to criticisms and different, market forces. So CSG is another one. They were kind of the newcomer, and like it was almost to the point of like, do we really need CSG? And then the deal with eBay unravels. And look, I've always been a fan of CSG because graded comic books I buy are CGC. They make a good product. So CSG, I was excited to see them. CGC, this is getting confusing, they're also getting integrated video games. So that's a whole nother segment that I also collect that I'm excited about. So I think that the main point that I'm trying to drive home is that there's a lot of exciting things going on in grading and a lot of competition. These 4 companies, and then you've got these other companies as well that I think are solid companies that are trying to get in the mix, and get some market share as well. This is a great time. I feel like if you're getting into the hobby, or getting back into the hobby and you're looking at your grading options, companies are working overtime to get your business with reinvestment into their companies and really working hard to raise the bar. And I think that we all should be happy about that. And I think the end consumer is going to be the end winner when it comes right down to it long term. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who is your grading company of choice? But also comment which company has surprised you to where you're like, you know what? I'm going to give them a shot in the next 6 months. This is a company I've never subbed with or I've never bought their slab, but I really like what they've been doing over the last few months, and I want to give them a try. Put that in the comments. I want to hear, and not just that PSA is the greatest or SGC is the greatest, but more of just some constructive stuff that we can take. I would appreciate your feedback. Guys, have an amazing rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.